Okay, hi, welcome. Today I'm going to play some $25 pot limit Omaha just for fun. Felt like doing something different this morning, um, and be interesting to see how this goes. I'm definitely not a pot limit expert. I consider myself a pretty good no limit player, but not so much with pot limit. I'm a little better than a break even. I average about 15 bucks an hour playing the $25 tables like this, and um, and that's barely able to do it. So we're starting here. Starting hands are completely um, challenging in pot limit Omaha compared to no limit. No limit, there's only 169 possible starting hands. Um, in no limit, it's many thousands of possible starting hands. So you have to go there. Here we've got bottom two pair, the 6 and the 4. There's a club draw. There's certainly possibility somebody could have a pair of 10s and have us crushed. Um, so we're going to play a little bit cautiously here. We're going to go ahead and fire. I'm going to go ahead and pot it. I have position, um, and uh, and we got two snap calls. And now the board's getting a little bit scarier. Easy for somebody to have Jack 10 here, so a little bit of pot control is in order. The 2 doesn't change much. I was either beat on the turn or not. I checked around to me again, so I think I've got the best hand here. So I'm going to go ahead and fire and see if I can get called by a single pair, like somebody holding Ace Jack or something. And no, I lost a top 2. So that's the problem with no limit, or sorry, with pot limit Omaha, is that you better have a pretty damn good strong hand. This is one of those hands that you've got to learn to fold, in my opinion. You've got a pair of 9s and a 9-10 is connected here. Sorry, but the 4 is a dangler. We're going to be out of position. We've got an early position raise here, so we're just going to let that one go as well. We'll see how this goes. One of the things that I learned helps me a lot in the pot limit games is to really focus on identifying the nuts on the flop. It's really hard to put people on specific hands, or well, I shouldn't say specific hands because you don't do that in no limit either, but it's really challenging to put people on. Okay, king, queen. The 6 is a dangler, and I'm in early position. I'm going to go ahead and let that one go too. It's hard to put people on hand ranges in Omaha. So you have to do that. You have to say, okay, somebody's re-raised here. So what kind of hands are people re-raising with? 4 running rundown cards, double suited, aces, certainly kings. Those kind of hands people re-raise with, especially in position. Positions even more important in pot limit than in no limit because of the variance involved. You've got to negate the variance with whatever edge you can in position. Certainly, it plays a huge part in that. So, what I was going to say though is when you're hand reading, quote unquote, hand reading in pot limit Omaha, one of the things that helps me a lot is to think about board texture and try to identify the nuts on the board, and then back out of that. How probable is it that this flop hits my opponent's range? It's a little bit backwards than no limit, and it's probably a mistake. It's probably not the right way to do it, but it seems to work for me. So here we got a pair of jacks. Jack 9 is suited and connected. The 6 is a dangler again here, so we're just going to check this. We're not going to bloat pots or anything like that. We got top and bottom pair here on a very coordinated board. We got spades, which we don't have. Somebody got have 8-10 here for the straight pretty easily. We're just going to check. We're going to do a little bit of pot control here too, and probably fold if we get raised into. We're out of position, and there's no sense guessing where we're at, and that's one of those things. So the spades just got there, and so we've got 9s and 6s still. Pretty weak hand. 2 pair in no limit is a pretty strong hand. 2 pair in pot limit Omaha ain't so strong. It's like middle pair or below if you were trying to compare it to no limit. So we're just going to check here, check fold. We got the deuce came in, which is a complete blank here, and we're hoping to see a showdown here. We're hoping this guy's just gonna check behind, and we've got the best hand. And it looks like we might. So, but it's just not worth putting any money in the pot, especially when we're out of position multi-way. Okay, we're in small blind. We have a suited ace. The 10-9 is connected. The 3 is a dangler. We're not going to put any more money into this pot, especially now that we've got a limp and then a raise following it. So we're going to be absolutely out of position in this hand. This is a pretty easy fold. I see. I've never coached pot limit. I'm not certainly good enough to do that yet, but I've watched some coaching videos and some mentoring videos, and it seems like this is a situation that a lot of people seem to have trouble with. That a lot of students have trouble with in the transition to pot limit. Okay, here again, this looks pretty. It's not. We've got a suited ace. We got a pair of sixes, but we've got 3 clubs, which negates the flush draw somewhat. We got a limp and a raise and late position. So this is one of the powers of position, and that's information. I see what's happened before it's my turn to act, so I can make a good decision. In this case, the decision is folding. That's just like no limit. That's the advantage of no limit as well. And the spades came out here, so it's really in pot limit Omaha, especially multi-way, you really have to think somebody's got a pair of spades in their hand. So that's really the nuts right now. It's king of spades, something which somebody could easily have. And then you work down through the rest of the flush. Those are all second, third, fourth nuts, and so on down. Start identifying nuts and asking yourself, is it possible somebody has a pair of spades in their hand? And yeah, absolutely they do. And one of these guys better have something like that. So, and they don't. He had a set of 5s. And he check called. That's just did not believe this guy had the spades, which might be surprising to me a little bit. I would have been. I get really nervous. I've lost a lot of money in pot limit when I've got a set and the board 3 flushes by the time we get to the river and I get some action. So this hand again maybe looks. Well, it doesn't look strong, to be honest. You've got a suited ace. The 4-3 is connected. The 9 really doesn't fit any of the other 3 cards. So you're looking for 4 playable cards, especially in the early position seats. Here I've got effectively 2 hold'em hands. I got a pair of 6s and I got a jack 4 suited. Otherwise, there's no other connectivity here. So I'm going to let that one go. I'm recording this when with the door closed to the office because my wife's got a friend over and they're just laughing their heads off out in the living room. So no idea what they're talking about out there, but try to keep the distraction down to a minimum here. I should probably follow up on my the live poker game I played last night that I talked about. I was looking forward to so much. Disaster. I busted out right before the first break, an hour in. It was a small tournament. Only about 20 people showed up to play. A couple of my buddies showed up, so had a good time talking to them. But just pitiful cards, pitiful situation. A lot of times when I had playable cards, there were raises and re-raises in front of me, and I had to toss. And then just kind of melted down in the end. I just did not play well. Okay, here this is a non-playable hand too, as you can tell. 3 to a kind negates the power of the flush because one of our 9 draws is now in our hand, so we actually only have 8 cards to the flush draw. Nothing else really connects there, so that's an easy fold, especially in early position. Anyway, it was a pretty rough night for me last night playing. Just I didn't feel like I was on my game, um, and just had a couple of rough calls. Ended up making a call. Basically, the end came towards the end. I was my M. Actually, my number of big blinds that I had in my stack was down to uh, about 11 or so. So getting pretty close to a danger zone someplace. You're getting into that push fold mode in a tournament. Um, Worse, the blinds start going up crazily after that. Up until then, we're playing 20-minute blinds, and then we start doing um, 15-minute blinds, and the structure goes nuts. Okay, so a pair of fours on the board. Anytime you got a paired board, flush draws really fall. We've got the 9-3, so we do have a pretty weak flush draw. So again, we're not getting any money into this, any more money into this. We got somebody betting into a four-way pot. We're done here. So we're just not getting involved. So anyway, the end came. I was down to getting close to 10 big blinds. I'm getting close to push fold mode. A guy who was really short stacked, maybe half my stack. He had 5 or 6 big blinds in his stack. Open shoved in early position. He had just open shoved the two previous hands in a row. One he lost, one he won. Look there, somebody had quads and won. We're not going to play this hand either. I'm just going to go pre-check. So he was desperate, obviously, and he's shoving with a really wide range, which he did. He open shoved under the gun, folds around to me on the button. I've got ace queen suited, and I called really quickly, and I don't know if that was a good call or not. I'm pretty short. I've got this guy covered. I'm not out of the tournament if I lose, but I'm crippled pretty bad. I'm down. I would be down to about 5 big blinds at that point. And I've always preached, I always do preach that if you're going to get your money in, it's better to be the one shoving than the one calling the shove. And the reason for that is because if you shove, you're adding fold equity. There's a possibility that somebody will fold in addition to the showdown value of your hand. So there I called. So I obviously don't have any kind of fold equity. I'm merely relying on the strength of my hand. I'm putting him on, any pair, any two face cards, and maybe something like 10-9 suited, maybe something like that. But that's sort of his range to shove there with under the gun with 5 big blinds. And sure enough, he turns over a pair of deuces. So I'm in a coin flip and lost. So here we go. We've got 3 face cards, but the 5 is a dangler. I'm going to let this one go as well. I'm sure I'm going to hear from some of you folks that I'm being too conservative here, but it's the way I play. I'm just I'm not comfortable enough with making hand reads and putting people on ranges in pot limit to make this a profitable open. And then I open it, I get called, and then what do? It's all hearts. Scared me is assuming that somebody's got a flush, and I give up, and I just rather pick better spots. So anyway, I called ace queen suited against the pair of deuces, and didn't improve, and he won with a pair of deuces, and now I'm down to 5 big blinds. And the very next hand, there's a limp, a raise, and it folds to me, and I've got a min raise, and then it folds to me, and I've got king jack suited, king jack of diamonds in the cutoff. And I consider calling here with the idea of a sort of a stop and go kind of thing, but this is one of the few times the position doesn't help you. I'd be essentially last to act, and if somebody opens in front of me or raises in front of me on a flop, then I don't really have a stop and go. Okay, here we've got 3 face cards, ace, queen, 10, and the 7 isn't so much a dangler because it's connected to the ace. This is pretty weak, but I'm going to go ahead and open it. Like in No Limit, I'm opening for raises and so on. Okay, I get cold called here, so I'm not a good hand reader here, but I can eliminate things like a pair of aces from his range. We whiff completely here. We have a pair of 7s, but I think I continuation bet. He may have a jack and continue here, but if I continue pressure on him, and now we've picked up the straight draw. Any ace, queen, or 10 gets us there. So I'm going to semi-bluff here. If he raises me, I'm not quite sure what I'm going to do. Going to look at the odds, I guess. So he's thinking about it, and he throws it away. So that's probably as good of a possible outcome as we could have. Here we got a pair of kings. Kings are pretty strong. They're not nearly as strong. Naked kings like this, not nearly as strong as they are in no limit. So you got to be cautious. So anyway, getting back to the tournament last night, I'm going to check here. So, there's lots of straights out there. There's heart draws. I've got a weak heart draw, but I don't really connect to this board. It's not something not a good board to talk about. So I'm going to fold it. So I decide to shove with my king jack suited against that min raiser, that limp and that min raiser in front of me. Folds around to the dealer who's also playing, and he then shoves. The limper folds, and it gets back to, let's see here. The 4 is a dangler. I'm going to be out of position. I'm going to basically call with the idea of set mining for the 10s here, which I'm going to do. Hopefully this guy checks behind and we get to see a flop. So I hit a pair of aces, but there's spade draws. There's all kinds of stuff. I'm not investing very much money with this hand in this pot here. So got to check. So the dealer shoves, the limper folds, and it comes around to and the spades got there. Comes around to the guy in min raise, and now he shoves, and I'm up against a pair of aces and a pair of kings, of course, and I need running diamonds to improve. So we got lucky there. We're on the button with a crap hand, so we're going to fold. And that's how that works. So anyway, I got sent packing right before the break. We have unlimited rebuys before the first break, so I could have bought back in, but was just not feeling it. I'm going to sit out this hand because my phone... Nope. I heard my phone ringing, but my wife got it, I guess. Okay, so here I'm double paired. I've got spades as well. This is an open. In no limit, when you're dealt 2 cards and you're set mining, you've got roughly a 1 in 8 chance to hit your. We hit quads, so life is pretty good right now. The trick is I'm hoping he has a king. I'm hoping he's going to lead. I am not going to chase him off this pot. I'm just going to call. My quick call there has to scare him, though, unfortunately, and now that I'm thinking about it. So I'm going to call again, and I'm going to get the money in on the, and right now I'm hoping he has a king or king queen or something like that. And I think if he's going to call any amount, he's just, he's going to call or he's not going to call. So I'm going to try to get the maximum into here, and hopefully that he calls with his king. And he's thinking about it. In other words, I think if I bet, maybe I should have bet smaller. It's hard to say. I'm just not good enough at hand reading there. I'm putting him on a king, and so he is what? Why isn't he calling there? I got to think about this. Why is he firing 2 bullets into me? He's trying to represent the 5, maybe, that he's got a 5 in his hand. He's chasing me off of a king. That could be. It's hard to say. I got to think about that. That's one that's worth revisiting later. So here we had a limp, a raise, a cold call, a limp re-raise. No, I guess he called there. So this will be interesting. Somebody's got aces here. Yeah, he's got aces. He has the straight over here. Nope. Wow, crazy. I thought this guy. I misread the board. Sorry. Yeah. Okay, here I got the 5, 4, and 3 that are connected, and the ace is suited. This is actually a lot weaker than it looks. I'm hoping to see a free flop, which I'm going to do here. And I paired the 5, big deal. I thought about rebuying, but my head was not in the game last night, so I ended up just walking out. I was like the second player eliminated. Kind of brutal. I have not won there in over a year. I have not moneyed in over a year, so it's a little bit depressing. That's the problem with live poker. It's so slow and so you get so few hands in per hour that you can play, 50 hours and not get a lot of hands in and just be subject to the vagaries of variance and running poorly. I'm folding this. I'm out of position. There's nothing really there connects. I'd end up with the idiot end of a straight here. The 2, 3, 5, 4 is not great. We got a raise and a re-raise. There's a little bit of aggression going on here. Sometimes at these PLO games, there's a lot of limp fests, and people are just trying to play, make a hand and get paid off. So these two guys like it. Somebody's got a set. He's got a set of 9s, and he had a straight draw or something along those lines. This is not a great hand. It's one of those things. We had this guy post behind, and now he bumps it up. I'm going to definitely let it go. If he had just checked there, I might consider raising as sort of an isolation against him, because it tells me his hand is weak. If I raise and I can get these guys to fold out marginal hands, I can get heads up in position with a player that I know has a weak hand. And then I can play post flop against him. So, I mean, the principles of no limit hold'em, in the most part, transfer over to pot limit. The difference is it's harder to hand read. The value of hands, you have to try to make bigger hands than you do in no limit. You got to be able to let go, 2 pair hands without hesitation. You got to be able to let go of sets. Here I'm going to let this thing go. There's, it's not a very good hand. So anyway, it was disappointing. I spent an hour at the home game last night. It's not actually a home game. It's held at a hotel in a lobby of a room off the lobby of this hotel down near the university. I would have flopped a full house here, but that's a bad way to think about poker, right? I know that in Hold'em. I don't even think about that in Hold'em, but for some reason in pot limit, because I'm still somewhat of an amateur, a newbie, I'm still in that mode of, hey, I would have flopped this, and which is, as I said, a bad way to think, because it starts to make you question your starting hand selection, and you start doing dumb things as a result. Look, the last 3 hands in a row would have flopped the nuts each time. I'm going to start playing crap hands. No, you don't want to do that. And I know that, obviously. But it's kind of like that saying I say about position a lot. Everybody knows position is important, but very few people really believe it. And that's kind of the same thing here. I'm still in that mode. I know I'm not supposed to do that sort of thing. I'm not supposed to think about, hey, woulda, coulda, shouldas. But I don't quite really believe it yet, so I'm still doing it at some level. And maybe that's another lesson here to impart, is that you're not infallible. Here we got a pair of jacks. Jack's connected to the 4 with the suit. 6 and 4 is a gapper. Yuck, throw it away. And that is, you're not infallible. I'm not infallible. I'm nowhere near perfect. I'm a pretty solid winning no limit hold'em player at 100 NL and below, but I'm not perfect. I'm not by no means am I perfect. As anybody who's watched any of my videos will point out 3 or 4 mistakes per session easily, and my point is, you have to recognize that you're not infallible, that you are human, you make mistakes. Um, and the difference between the best players, the winning players and the non-winning players are the winning players are often the guys that recognize those mistakes, admit them to themselves, not just other people, but really truly embrace them and admit them to themselves, and then improve them. The people who don't get better are frequently those that won't admit they make mistakes. So I'm going to sit out the next big blind here. Actually, I'm getting called. I'm hearing my wife yell my name, so I'm going to go ahead and sit out the next hand and go see what she wants. So basically, I'm done here. I made a couple of bucks. I don't like sitting out like this. I'd prefer to hit sit out the next big blind and wait the full lap of the table. But c'est la vie. Anyway, that's a little bit of PLO. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Again, I'm not an expert, and frankly, any advice you have about how I'm playing and thoughts about strategy and tactics in PLO, I'd love to hear. So give me a shout if you can. Mark at exceptionalpoker.com. Drop me a line and or leave a comment here in YouTube. Would like to hear it. So thanks. Bye.